Volume 9 was looking to be a big step up from previous RWBY seasons. A narrative centering on internal conflict was refreshing after a few straight seasons of oops, all politics. A big problem with the story is that it centers around our main character. And yes, that sentence should unnerve you. Basically, RWBY is having a big sad. The hope is that by embracing the constant complaining, infighting, and self-pity, we can move past it. And it makes sense why these emotions would be amplified right now with tensions high. RWBY is so distraught by her circumstances, in fact, that she's compelled to Alt F4 herself. But in the midst of all her self-loathing, she misses one crucial fact. See, the problem RWBY is facing in Volume 9 is not uncommon for hero stories. Eventually, the hero reaches a point where their work has brought them to crumble, before then rising again, Phoenix style. It's a very satisfying arc, but it entirely depends on how motivated the hero is to keep fighting, rather than take the temptation of packing up and going home. The reasons why they don't give up are also the reasons why they are the main character. They do it for love, dreams, to save people. Maybe they're the only one who can do it. In Volume 9, RWBY takes her time to explain to us just how incapable she is and how little she wants to be a hero. When Ozpin picked up this little girl from the street and said, "Here's some responsibilities, and if you don't figure it out, the world is gonna end," he somehow thought that was a good idea. To no one's surprise, the intellectually stunted RWBY and her gang of misfits took a giant miss shit on the world of Remnant. The audience's complaint of just how much these girls fucked up is so prevalent that it transcended dimensions to reach RWBY the character and gave her a mental breakdown. Now she's reckoning with the fact that she and everyone she knows are woefully unequipped to stop bitter divorcee Salem. And as you listen to her lay it out, you're like, yes, RWBY, all that's left is to find a solution. And then Rooster Teeth flushes your dreams. Why RWBY is the question that haunts Volume 9. In RWBY's, we didn't have enough time to fit in, so I guess we're putting it on top of John's breakdown, she asks, why do I have to be the leader? By technicality, RWBY is the leader of her team. That technicality being that her name starts with R, and Beacon Academy is obsessed with making fun words out of acronyms. The concern of RWBY being the leader died as soon as White stopped giving a shit. Team RWBY has no power hierarchy to be found. Each member contributes equally. This is totally reasonable in such a small team. They don't necessarily need a leader if they can work as a unit. Opposed to that, we have teams like the Straw Hat Crew. In One Piece, RWBY has to take on certain responsibilities. Not because he's special or the strongest, but because he is the captain. His tangible traits of self-assurance, kindness, drive, and strength draw people to him. Now each member expectantly waits for his orders, and while they still exercise their own independence, any of them would die by their captain's final word, because Luffy wouldn't give it unless it was worth dying for. But he doesn't always know what's best, which is why he needs counsel from people like Zoro. Zoro balances his lofty goals with stoic realism, and is there to help him with situations that contradict with his strong core values. The rest of the crew is welcome to give their input, however harsh it may be. This dynamic is what truly makes them a team. RWBY is a show so much about teams that it's named after the main team. But RWBY has to push herself hard to be strong, driven, and self-confident. Leadership just doesn't come naturally to her, so the fact that she's in charge goes largely ignored, just to pop up again when we need drama. As I said, there's times when heroes stumble, but RWBY as she is has neither the internal or external strength to even be part of this war, much less instrumental. She is in an endless state of stumbling like the scat man falling down the stairs. So RWBY is a bad leader. She's a bad hero. And she desperately wants to be somebody who can do it right. But she doesn't understand that the best thing that she can do is march back to Ozpin and demand he find someone else to take the helm. Because right now, she's occupying the spot that someone actually good at this could take up. The one thing that sets her apart and ties her to this war is her silver eyes, but those are so underplayed in the grand scheme of things. While they're useful against the Grim, they still don't provide an answer for Salem. What they hope will help is the relics, which anyone can find and anyone can use. But at the start of Volume 9, I'm not screaming for a downfall yet, because these issues are a clear setup for a character arc. We face our flaws, grow, and overcome them, and become better people by doing so. Or, you can just not do that and decide you're fine, actually. And look, guys, I know why you did it. Because you didn't want a story that has been saying the whole time, death is the answer. her death to actually be the answer because that's just gross. And I know that it's so tantalizing to tell a story about self-acceptance and forgiveness, but for God's sake, her decision to not give a shit about how bad she and her friends are at this makes her feel better, but simultaneously endangers the lives of thousands. You have correctly diagnosed yourself as a fucking menace to society. Why is it a good thing that you haven't changed at all? The stories where beats like that work are when a character blames themselves for things that they didn't or had to do. Maybe they couldn't save someone, or they killed and regretted it. They have things to feel guilty for, but they are still likable characters because they're wise enough to recognize their own faults. The other factor, and this one is really important, is that there's nothing to be done about it now. If the war was over, RWBY, feel free to forgive yourself. Guilt is a useless emotion when you can't change what happened, and in the future are not in the position where you can make those mistakes again. I hate to break it to you, rubes, but you're not fine just the way you are, and that fact will hurt people. It is morally reprehensible to ignore that. And do you want to know what's the worst thing about all of this? She lays this all out in front of the person who has been consistently better written, who has taken an actual leadership role, and who is also struggling with massive mental distress while dealing with all the same consequences. And I get it. RWBY deserves to express her pain. She deserves to be heard, and she just hasn't been throughout the entire volume. But RWBY, listen to me. Jaune, your friend, who has lost at least a decade of his life to time travel, has spent all those years alone, surrounded by weirdos who manipulate him so far as to even poison him. The only people he finds companionship in have a personality about as complex as an Alexa. Regardless, he cherishes them. He named them after you and dreams every day of your reunion. And every day, these people he has sworn to protect, desperately needing to protect someone, try to destroy themselves in any way they know how. They are relentless. They want to die so badly. And even if Jaune knows deep down that the tree will revive them, there's no doubt that they will have lost all memory of him. And that's not an easy pill to swallow. But as they die before your eyes, they cheer. Right now, you think you failed to do the right thing. But one day you'll wake up and you'll know it was you who kept them from happiness for so long. And even though that may be true, every step of the way you're trying to do the right thing. You tried to save Pyrrha. You tried to honor Penny's wishes. You tried to help the paper pleasers. But it's over. And there's nothing you can do to change that. The world needs a hero out there. They need you. Forgive yourself. Oh, wait. God damn it! Okay, I'm closing the window. God damn you, doors.